Okay, let's see. Do we have our we got Graham, we got Juan, we're just looking if there's Rob. Okay, that means we are ready to go. Hello everybody. I'm Grendel. I'm Education Director at Letterform Archive. Welcome to the graduation of the Type West classes of 2022. So glad everyone can join us here today. Wait, did Grendel just say classes? Yes, for the first time, we welcome both an in-person and an online Type West cohort in 2022. These two classes showed an impressive level of enthusiasm, resilience, and camaraderie over the past year. And if I had to describe them in one word, perhaps collaborative is that word. But fortunately, I have more words than that. So I'm going to add passionate, creative, dedicated, skilled, friendly, and all around awesome. And throughout the year, they were helped along their path by our team of amazing instructors who are all leaders in their fields. So shout out to the teachers here. Woo! The students showed so much genuine empathy and affection for each other, both in and out of the classroom. And despite, for the online cohort, their physical distance, for everyone, their diverse backgrounds, circumstances, and lifestyles, they easily found common ground as humans who love letterforms. So congratulations, grads. We could not be more proud of you. Go forth with your fonts and spread the love. I'm going to pass the mic now to Rob Saunders, the founder and executive director of Letterform Archive. Take it away, Rob.
Hello, everyone. To the graduates, thank you so much. We're so proud of you. I'm happy to announce today that with this class, we have now graduated 101 students in our year-long certificate program, which means that there are 101 typefaces in the world as a result of that. And some of those, as you know, have been commercialized, which is always fun, isn't necessarily the only goal, but we're so proud of you and really happy to have, of course, both the local people and the online cohort. And for those of you who've never been to the archive, do come sometime. We'd love to show you around. That's pretty much my time, but it was a pleasure to teach, which I did in both of these cohorts a little bit. And the typefaces are wonderful. I've been poring over the website all morning. And Graham is next.
Hey, everybody. So excited to be here and to celebrate you all. I just wanted to say that lately it seems like each year Type West reinvents itself and grows, and last year was no exception. It was really exciting to lead the first in-person class since we had to pause in-person teaching for COVID. And on top of that, the 2022 program was the first in the new archive space, which was incredible. Everything started a little bit tentatively as we kind of got into the habit of seeing each other in person, but even just a few weeks in, we had thrown open all the windows and covered the new chalkboard and notes and printed and marked up so many pages of type proofs. And it was really amazing to connect over being in the Bay Area and seeing all of the inspiring materials together at the archive. Every student in the in-person class brought so much depth, perspective, exploration, and humor to their work, and also offered so much help and critique to their fellow classmates. And these projects are a reflection of the designers who created them and also the engaging classroom environment that you all built together this past year. So thank you to all of you for all the hard work and dedication and camaraderie that you brought to the program. I also want to give a huge thank you to my co-instructors, Rod Cavazos, who anchored the first term, and Maria Doriuli, who helped steer the ship during terms 2 and 3. I learned so much from Rod and Maria last year, and it was amazing working with both of them. And I also want to give a big thank you to Habib, our amazing TA. Everything would have ground to a halt without you. So thank you all for coming today, and I'm excited to take a look at all of these amazing projects. I'm not sure who's next, but maybe it's Juan.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm next. So hi, everyone. I'm Juan Villanueva. I'm the senior type designer at Monotype, also co-founder of Type Electives. Last year, 2022, I had the privilege and honor of being the lead instructor of the TypeWest online program. This was a huge, huge honor and also a responsibility, which I took very seriously. And my goal was to take full advantage of this virtual classroom and graduate students with a high level of proficiency in drawing and spacing letter forms, as well as a critical approach towards type design that they could then bring that into their own individual practices. The online class of 2022 was one of a kind. They met and exceeded all of my expectations. Our students are working professionals. They have jobs, they have teaching commitments, family obligations, and many, many other responsibilities. They live in different countries, speak different languages, and often join class at very difficult hours of their day. And despite all of this, they made the time to come together and study type design. Their hard work, dedication, and hunger for knowledge has paid off. I believe that their work stands as some of the best typefaces I've seen coming out of a type design program anywhere. But you don't have to take my word for it. You'll see it pretty soon. But before that, I also have to express my gratitude to a few people. Thank you so much, Ewan Clayton, Silas Monroe, and Brian Levitt for thoughtfully covering the history and theory track. Huge thanks to Carl Crossgrove, Lin Yu, and Jen Ramirez for joining us on this wild adventure and co-teaching the core type design track with me. Grateful to our worship instructors, Rob Saunders, Alina Chiori, Katya Shimel, Sinker Bujubasic, Rodrigo Sayani, Travis and Lizzie from Future Fonts, and grateful also to our guest critics, Commercial Type, XYZ Type, Fair Jones Type, who gave our students feedback at the end of each term. And also thanks to all of our guests who came to our office hours and our Talking Type with a Pro series to share their work, process, and practice with us. As you can see, online education takes a village. And none of this would have been possible without the full support of the amazing team at the Letterform Archive. So thank you, Grendel, for this opportunity. Also, thanks to our TAs, Sandra, Jamal, and Miguel, and especially Tamara Segura, for being with us, supporting us throughout the whole year. And even now, Tamara is still involved. So thank you so much, Tamara, for all the lift that you were doing. And of course, leaving the best for last. Thank you to our TypeWest online cohort. Thank you for making such a special year, an unforgettable one. And what you see here is the result of our students working together, learning together, growing together as a community, as each of them develop their own original text typefaces in regular, bold, and italic styles. Their typefaces showcase their talents, creativity, discipline, and love for the craft, as well as their personalities, identities, localities, and stories that set them apart as type designers. I couldn't be more proud and honored to present to you this class of TypeWest Online 2022. I'm gonna paste their names into the chat. So if you could please show them some love, I really appreciate it. So thank you. And that's it for me.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Juan, Graham, Rob, Skilla. Let's roll. And thanks, by the way, to Skilla, who's running this behind the scenes.
Hi, my name is Caitlin, and I'm going to introduce my typeface Del Rey. Del Rey is a type family consisting of two styles, a display and text. I've always been drawn to slab serif typefaces, and I knew it was what I wanted to make during my time at TypeWest. The display weight is inspired by making way too many mood boards of old wood type specimens. Blocky slab serifs remind me of my childhood. The text weight is reminiscent of old California history paperbacks and some of my favorite vintage stamps. It has a friendly personality that I think pairs well with the display. My process for this typeface was not linear. While I knew I wanted to make a slab serif, the ones I tested out in the beginning didn't keep my attention. In the middle of my process, my self-doubt got the better of me, and I completely abandoned my big serifs for something quieter. I distracted myself by making a text weight. While it was a welcome distraction in the beginning, I was beginning to hit another wall. So I went back to basics, took out a parallel pen, and began to draw some lowercase letters. These skeleton letters would become the building blocks for my display weight. I transformed the light into a bold and realized that this was the typeface I had been trying to make from the beginning. I became so in love with my bold display, I went back to my initial light and tried to infuse some of the life from the bold into it. The final result is my type family, Del Rey. Thank you for listening, and special thanks and lots of hugs to my classmates, teachers, and the Letterform Archive for their constant support and encouragement.
Hi, my name is Zofia Bugajewska and this is my final project, a serif font family called Keret. My initial inspiration for the project came from these really ridiculous shapes of orchids, which I channeled by drawing excessively long serifs. I later delved into black metal lettering, Art Nouveau and psychedelic art, finding myself fascinated by many appendages that can grow from these letter forms. Inspired by the past, my letters started growing their own flourishes and quickly became overgrown with them. Later in the term, I explored extremely bold ways, creating designs that made me question the character of this family. After that, with the guidance of our instructors, I decided to add a text face that would be more legible at smaller sizes. This required many changes to my original design. I also added more conservative, bold and italic styles. In order to have something ready for graduation, I had to narrow my focus and abandon all of the overly complicated display styles. However, I do hope to revisit some of these ideas and bring them back into the family in the future. As it currently stands, the Curse family consists of a Roman in 4 weights, an italic, and a variable version with a weight axis. From the start, I wanted to support a wide range of languages and spend a lot of time designing diacritics. This is where my character sets are right now. This is Keres Light, regular, semi-bold, extra bold, and italic. My ideal use cases would be pairing it with black metal lettering, using it on fast food wrappers, in video games, and in books about dendrology. That's it for now. Thanks so much to everybody in Type West and Letterform Archive for making it such a great year.
My name is Ivan Castro from El Salvador. Eclectica is a type family inspired from widely accepted conventions in order to create an original typeface for reading purposes. This was my learning tool, and in the process I narrowed down many research and inspiration. And I realized after reviving Burns Medieval that my challenge was to find a new cohesive system between something that can have a warm feeling and a mechanical structure. Maybe instead of opposites, I can create something complementary. The anatomy that characterizes Eclectica is wide expansion and rounded letters, sharp incisions and connections, with mostly wedge serifs and pointed terminals to save space in heavier weights. The italics aims for contrast by creating a faster texture with its rhythm and spacing, giving it a more classical aspect. The titling version breaks the straight downstrokes of the Romans uppercase to generate a new texture when using them for headlines. Here are some examples of an eclectic group of styles that dives into different historical models but coming from the same imaginary tool. Thank you so much, Letterform Archive, and all Type West, my amazing group of instructors, and all my classmates.
My name is Agustin Guzman Chispan and my typeface is Santo Domingo. I've always been interested in vernacular design, which is fortunately common in the city where I live, Veracruz. This city has existed for centuries, so there's an historical district here. Walking through that part of town, I saw this hotel with a carved stone sign over its entrance. I liked some things about it, like how it looks half finished or that interesting uppercase S. But the most interesting thing for me is that you can see some typographic systems in action. So I decided to make those few letters from a sign a typeface. I started from these letters, but it was obvious that the system has its limitations. After a few feedbacks, it was evident that these letter forms needed some kind of evolution. This was the big breakthrough. It was easy to recognize how much improvement these have. So I decided to move forward this direction. This is the regular version. Also, I've worked on a bold version and my next move is to have a condensed one to expand the family. I like how this is going. It is a display font, but it also works well with medium-sized text, so I could explore that. Lastly, I would like to show you how far things have gone. Thank you.
May is a typeface that is inspired by the posters of the Atelier Populaire, a French poster collective from the May 1968. These posters are a huge inspiration to my personal work. I reference them all the time while I design political posters. Being at Type West gave me the ability to dive into the archive and research the primary documents for designing my typeface. What came out is May, a sans serif geometric typeface that's a little bit funky, a little bit weird, but functional. Designed in 3 weights, ultra bold, medium, and thin, I attempted to capture a small family that worked really well together. Its main purpose is to be negative space within a design, almost as if the letters are cut out of a shape using an X-Acto knife or scissors. Yet, it also felt very important to me while designing that it had a universality. It didn't just feel like a revival. It would have a style to it that would allow infinite possibilities for its use. My name is Rai Farola, and I designed May at Type West.
Hi, I'm Stephen French, and this is my typeface Pictura. Pictura is a text typeface for 9 to 12 points, distinguished by asymmetric serifs, a tilted axis, and slow curves which bring warmth and rhythm to an otherwise rational design. I began with a more exaggerated horizontal stress, which was toned down with each new iteration. For the italic, I wanted to emphasize horizontal through lines at the baseline and X height, so I drew short exit strokes extending horizontally rather than at an upward angle. In my first digital iterations, I went even further toward an upright hybrid model before settling into a more traditional italic. Both the Roman and italic exist in 3 weights, regular, bold, and black. The Roman also has a variable version. Beyond the basic character set, I drew diacritics for each weight and style. Recently, I've added additional sets of figures as well as symbols and directional arrows. These examples show Pictura in display and text settings. While the goal was always to produce a comfortable reading typeface, during the process of drawing I kept in mind the versatility of typefaces like Times New Roman, which frequently do double duty as a display face. My next step with this design would be to expand into non-Latin scripts. Thanks so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Camille, and this is my typeface Score. Score is a soft and warm family with musical details. Inspired by historical and experimental music notation, the design is also informed by my own experiences learning to read sheet music as a child. Music notation follows strict grids and systems, in direct contrast with music's inherent fluidity when performed or listened to. I explored this juxtaposition in early sketches and eventually landed somewhere in the middle, trying to bring those 2 contrasts together. Currently, there are 3 main styles in the family: regular, italic, and bold, with a mono in development. The styles are intended to be workhorse serifs, quiet and functional at smaller sizes, but still able to deliver personality when set large. I wanted music notation to feel like it was ingrained within the letterforms themselves. Several features helped create that DNA across the family, such as this notched branch, softball terminals and endings, this gestural serif and entry stroke, and these looping rhythms. I think this typeface would be well suited for editorial use in other print applications, and I could also see it being used in music-related contexts. Through working on this project, I've come to understand that type and music overlap in many different ways, but my biggest takeaway is that both disciplines practice balancing technical skill and artistic expression, which is something I'm excited to continue working on in my own practice. I want to thank my wonderful teachers and the archive staff/community for all the support and knowledge, and I especially want to shout out my fellow classmates. I've really enjoyed sharing this space with you, and I'm excited to continue to be in community with y'all. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Chalermpol Jittakasem. The concept of my typeface comes from a simple question. Why English pronunciation is very confusing to foreigners. I couldn't wrap my head around with these words. Kernel, saddle, basically, half, let alone this. because I have no idea how many syllables and where to stress. But phonetic glyphs and font could help, which call phonetic respelling and IPA. My typeface called Vaja. Vaja means speech in Thai. Vaja is a sans serif with a combination of Gothic and geometric sand. Highly recommend to use in a small text. Comes with 3 styles: thin, bold, oblique, and also provide phonetic glyphs for IPA. The journey of Vaja is not dramatic, but I was struggling with how to balance the width, height, contrast, because there is no room to hide for some unbalanced element when it comes to the geometric typeface. And this is the current version, along with the phonetic glyphs. This shows how to use together for words, IPA, and respelling. Vaja in use? I created pronunciation flashcard for my specimen last semester. And this typeface can be used in the dictionary, academic writing, such as citation, lists of figures, and last but not least, newspapers typesetting. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jessica, an art director and designer based in Los Angeles. This is my typeface acquaintance text family. It has regular, medium, bold, black, and italic. Acquaintance is born out of my desire to shoulder off readers' pressure from reading long text, especially for those who are very used to reading shorter text in sans serif, on the phone, in the zines, on the ads, or pretty much everywhere in our daily life. This concept isn't something I had from the get-go. The initial sketches were wild and heading all sorts of directions, but week by week, I kept asking myself, what do I want from a text typeface, and kept on drawing, sketching, studying, writing, and then I landed on the brief. With weekly learnings and feedback from our instructors and peers, and with numerous testing and 0.9 size, my typeface evolved and gradually grew into shape. Besides coming up with the original typeface, one of the challenges I had in term 2 was to create the very subtle contrast and to balance out the optical swirling effect created by the curves. In term 3, I was challenged to re-examine the relationship between the tool and the shape, so that the terminals and the contrast can be more consistent, and the organic and the sharp quality can be jointed in a more harmonious way. Some of the final features of acquaintance includes vertical emphasis for stability, margin proportion, curves that create a rhythm and move the readers from left to right, open counters and big serif for effortless reading, especially in smaller sizes, and the dual characteristic of softness and angularity. Designers can emphasize either the soft or sharp feature by typography, or they can further amplify it by turning on the stylistic set. In term 3, I created the black weight to interpolate with regular. It really challenged my understanding of consistency and the shape dynamics. An italic style is also created as a companion for the regular. Though difficult to draw, it was very fun to explore the speed, the construction, and its relationship with the regular. Here is how the whole family looks like together. Just like those moments when you run into acquaintance unexpectedly on a random occasion, the reading experience of the typeface acquaintance is friendly, delightful, inviting, a little bit playful and curious, but not too personal. Always ready for a respectful discussion on subject of all sorts. Thank you TypeWest and the Letterform Archive and all of the instructors, lecturers, guest critics, and my very talented classmates for making this journey happen. Big shout outs to my friends and family who have been a strong support behind the scene and borne with my joy and stress throughout the whole year. Don't be a stranger. We made it.
Tadpole is a typeface that draws inspiration from the receipts that I've collected over the years, and also the labels found in electronics. It features a harmonious blend of simple straight lines and rounded curves. In the initial development stages, I studied typefaces designed to be used at small sizes. This helped me establish a solid foundation. The use of straight lines and bolds of letters like O, A, and C allows Tadpole to be more compact, making it more suitable when used in a small space. You'll also notice that some characters have an asymmetrical shape, particularly the uppercase letter B and the lowercase letter e in bold. Although this asymmetrical weight balance can seem overly playful, it helps soften the typeface's rigidity. While the two weights share the same base structure, each is optimized for a specific use case. The bold weight is ideal for big headlines, and the regular for the body. Of course, they work well as a pair. Tadpole will continue to evolve in the future, and I hope to draw its italics soon. Lastly, I want to thank everyone at the Letterform Archive and my wonderful instructors and friends at Typeface.
My name is Emily Claby, and this is my type family, Francine. Francine is a text family of 4 weights that aims to blend the foundations of the old-style genre with influences of rounded characteristics found in geometric display families. In May of 2022, I began researching notable milestones within the old-style genre to better understand their principles and their traits. In parallel with research into the old-style genre, I had long been an admirer of these highly geometric families from the phototype era and earlier the Bauhaus movement for their ability to distill these basic shapes into a readable language. At first, it appeared there'd be no overlap between the two categories, but upon further inspection, I discovered that from a high level, there could be a connection made between the circular proportions of each style to bridge this gap. My initial sketches were a wide exploration around how geometry could be pulled appropriately into a typeface intended for text use. Some of these approaches were heavy-handed in their reference material, while others were more subtle approaches to instilling this geometric influence. After selecting and refining sketches that were more successful, I found that reducing the amount of excess detail or personality in the typeface resulted in an overall clearer image. Early digital iterations tried to add rounded joins and wide proportions, but after many revisions, the execution that resulted in better clarity was a quieter approach to representing these characteristics. And ultimately, the relationship between the text-focused family and the geometric style was one of a proportional relationships. With the metrics being the primary constant between families, it led to better usability in the overall design. The family consists of 4 weights intended for text use, 1 italic style, and then 1 geometric style. The heaviest weight was primarily designed for interpolation purposes, but I found that it worked successfully to scale slightly larger than text size at around 25 to 30 points. The lowest point size for the family works best at a 12 to 10 point range. Key features are the overall round curvature in the typeface and the ball terminals that are present in both the Roman and the italic styles. At lighter weights, the contrast is moderate, but at the heavier weights, the translation contrast can be seen more prominently. The extended punctuation in the character set in the typeface allowed for more geometric attributes to feel natural in the text styles, such as the percentage symbol and the old-style numerals. I found that the family is best suited for pleasant and upbeat long-form text setting with the Roman, and then highly charismatic use cases with the heavier weights and geometric style. Thank you.
Hello, this is Umbral, a text type family inspired by the life and work of Elena Garro, a Mexican writer and playwright. Umbral was designed to bring literary, theater, and dramaturgy text to life with a warm voice and strong convictions. With 4 weights and an italic, Umbral was inspired by the duality of reality and illusion, a theme that's present in Garro's work and in theater, but also present in type design, where we have to work with optical illusions and learn that things aren't always what they seem. The name umbral comes from the Spanish word for threshold, the limit between 2 worlds or 2 parts, and also the point of entering or beginning, much like Type West was for me in my type design journey, where I discovered the beauty and complexity of type design and met amazing people who helped me grow. Umbral has clear, open counters, asymmetric serifs, and a large X-height, making it readable in small sizes and dimly lit rehearsal spaces. Its italic is expressive and has a distinct rhythm to distinguish it from the regular. The design process involved evolution, a lot of patience, and learning to let go of ideas for the greater good of the project. I learned to be patient and flexible and found that one of my favorite parts of type design is seeing how every little part of the system relates to one another and how everything comes together. The final product still needs work, but I'm excited to see it come to life. I want to thank everyone who made this course possible and all of my classmates for their support. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Rena, and this is my typeface KTV. KTV is inspired by half-width Latin characters that accompany Chinese, Japanese, Korean, or CJK fonts like Kaiti or Mincho. I was intrigued by these off-kilter letters that were everywhere in the visual landscape of my upbringing. In restaurants, signs, at karaoke, they were woven into this sense of belonging and my identity, so for me this project was kind of an open-ended exploration of that. My initial designs stuck close to my source, but I felt like something was missing. I tried out a variety of other concepts like translating Chinese woodblock type to Latin serifs, incorporating calligraphic influences in Latin handwriting to type, but I kept coming back to this image from A Night at Karaoke. That's when I finally landed on something that somewhat retained the skeleton of CJK letters while adding a texture that captures the imperfections of alias type. The resulting combo felt like the perfect way to embrace these unintentional or accidental aesthetics. Some of the features of KTV include long geometric serifs, pixelated round shapes like the dot above the I and in punctuation, the O, the 8, the percent, and other individual off-kilter letters like the G or the italic S, and this whole party here. The decision to alias some shapes but not all achieves an overall texture that feels half-rendered, halfway between raw pixels and clean vectors. This makes KTV suitable for display and body text spaces alike. Its quirks can either be accentuated at larger sizes while retaining legibility at small sizes. KTV currently has 3 weights. The regular weight is the foundation of the family, while the italic and bold weights accentuate the family's irregularities. KTV can be used to set text that is informative or technical. Its weights can be mixed and matched to create something playful and offbeat, and of course set with CJK characters. In the future, I'd love to expand the family to include condensed and wide weights to make it more flexible and playful. I have so much gratitude for my classmates, instructors, and folks at the Letterform Archive. This in-person cohort has truly been such a special learning experience, and I really cherished every minute that we got to be together. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Daniela Lopez from Mexico City, and this is my final project, a serif font family named Jaguar. Jaguar seeks to portray the warmth of an old-style typeface with a modern feel. To say it in a different way, imagine driving in a classic 1950s car, only without all the noise and the heat, because you have air conditioning. That is why Jag is a postmodern typeface, but is very conscious of how it is made. Jaguar consists of the light, regular, medium bold black and italic styles. The letter's proportions offer conventional reading, while its stylistic details fill us with warmth and character. In the beginning, I struggled with what designing an original type family consisted of, and after circling around, I found the perfect concept that gave birth to the little Jaguar. I became focused on working the serifs and all the endings with a more sharper, kind of modern look, but without losing the old-style calligraphic shape. Keep in mind the Jaguar with air conditioning when you see this slide. Its old-style architecture, angle stress, and whoa, asymmetrical serifs, groundbreaking, I know. Sharp endings, wide counterfold, moderate contrast, large edge size, many details that contribute to the concept. The before-mentioned features make Jaguar a reliable choice even at small sizes and for the most complex editorial settings. I continue to work on growing the character set for language support, perfection in the current set of the styles and the italics. I hope you enjoyed my work on the ride in this 2022 Jag. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day.
While many birds from different parts of the world share some similar shapes and characteristics, each region has its own unique species. Inspired by the national bird of El Salvador where I live, Torogos, my text typeface, follows the bone structure of Roman letters with translation contrast. Like a bird, this typeface has its own unique voice. It can be used in small text for digital and print magazines that use column-based styling and continuous body text with 12 and 16 points for screen and 8 points for print editions. My goal with Torogos is to keep reading comfortably while combining conventional with the unconventional. Torogo's type family offers editorial designers playful headlines possibilities, several alternatives in style to intricate different levels of text. Torogos to be continued. Made with love from El Salvador and from the support from my teachers, TAs, classmates, and designers outside our class. A special thanks to Letterform Archive to make Typewest happen. Gracias.
Hi everyone, my name is Jo Malinis and this is my typeface called Your. Your is a text typeface that hides its sharp edges in plain sight. Its duplicitous forms imitate the bolo, a pre-colonial Filipino blade with a wide curved front and a straight back meeting an abrupt taper. You can recognize its shape in Your's piercing terminals, which have been lopped off rather than have them end in a natural arc. Between its chiseled serifs and the moderately visible contrast in its strokes, Your is a perfectly functional typeface with a deceptive personality. It registers well with small, long-form text between 8 to 12 points. An italic style was also developed to complement the regular, with features that try to stay faithful to the intent of the design language without going overboard. And while Your is still a work in progress, it currently exists in regular, medium, semi-bold, and bold weights, but hopefully can also exist in small caps and in a display style with multiple weights. Your would not have been possible without the help of my instructors and classmates at Type West, and to them, maraming salamat.
Hi everyone, I'm Jad, and this is my Typewest final project, Dulungan. Inspired by one of the rarest hornbills on Earth endemic to the Western Visayas region where I live in the Philippines, this typeface is characterized by an asymmetrical movement of the brush, further defined by the distinctive shape of the beak of its namesake bird. From brushy letter forms that are bouncy and nimble, to a crisper, reserved yet persevering text face, this is how Dulungan has evolved throughout the Typewest program. One of the biggest challenges in expanding the type family is finding the middle ground to relate the shapes amid the intentional imbalance in the design. I have our instructors to thank for guiding me through these hurdles with their expertise, sincerity, and understanding. In the span of 2 terms, this is how far Dulungan has come as a type family, with regular and bolder weights completing the Group 5 character set, plus the italic and monospace styles in their early stages. While I'm aware that there's still a lot more work to be done, I'm truly grateful with how this project has grown, and I hope Dulungan can find a foundry to nest in and fly high someday. To the Letterform Archive, our mentors, TAs, guests, classmates, and everyone involved in making the Typewest online program possible, from the bottom of my heart, salamat.
Hello, my name is Ana Michel and this is my final project, Alacitas. This is a text typeface with some contrast and mixed serifs. The inspiration behind Alacitas comes from the variety of shapes, materials, and sizes of the small metaphorical figures at Alacitas Fair in Bolivia. Alacitas is intended to work perfectly for small text sizes in books, magazines, and any tiny support. Many concepts of this fair are related to the craft of a type designer. Concepts like hard work, love for the craft, observation, and appreciation of the details. Alacitas had a process full of handcrafted work, great time of exploration, and going back to the roots of calligraphy. Sketches in small sizes were useful to understand the function of the text typeface. Over the program, my design process included a lot of refinement and many instances in taking decisions and killing darlings. The family planning for the future is ambitious because the exploration took me too many typeseeds to develop later. By the end of the program, I was able to deliver a font family that consists in 4 masters and 2 interpolations. This is the complete set of Alacitas regular, this is Alacitas bold, and this is a group of the italic style. A simple composition to see the styles working together. Alacitas aims to work in small sizes, so these are some proofs in 12, 10, and 8 points. A text waterfall to look at very different weights in use, some icons showing the different styles, and this is a small newspaper in the intended text size. Thanks to you all.
Hello, my name is Oscar, and this is my typeface Blitz. So Blitz is an all-star text typeface that came from explorations with a flat brush to create a dynamic stem-serif relationship. It all started out with an exercise in Stringer's class to experiment with the brush rotations, and I wondered if there's a way to use the brush rotations to create interesting terminals and stroke endings. So I continued experimenting, but I quickly found out that the most utilitarian solutions were actually those with the brush itself and without brush rotations. I was also inspired by many sources I found on the streets and online, as well as my revival of Chapo's judginess. While designing Blitz, I went through the 4 stages of grief, constantly going back and forth between different weights, individual letters, and the overall texture. I ended up with a typeface with flat stems cut by spiky serifs. So Blitz has 5 styles, an interpolation from regular to heavy, and an italic style. This is the character set of each cut. Blitz is most suitable for printed materials at 8 to 10 points due to its sturdy and robust nature. However, because of its daring construction, especially with italics, it can also be utilized for headlines or display sizes. Although Blitz is far from graduation, it was perfect as my learning typeface for encapsulating everything I learned in the past year. And on that note, I'd like to thank my instructors and TAs for the knowledge and support. I want to thank my talented classmates for always being open, supportive, and welcoming. Thank you for making me a part of TypeWest.
Hey friends, I'm Daniel Nesbitt, and this is my typeface Hathaway Text, a translation serif designed for 10 to 14 point text, taking inspiration from a fusion of slab serif typefaces and a calligraphic pen. This project marks a major milestone of my journey into type design that started over 15 years ago. It's been amazing to reflect on the progress that I was able to make as a type designer since the start of TypeWest. I'm able to see more detail and nuances in letter forms, things I never would have noticed before when I started the program. Hathaway Text is comprised of 4 weights: regular, bold, extra bold, and italic, and was designed for long-form reading on screens. The final letter forms went through a number of transformations from the original sketches to the finished product, and really highlights the iterative process of designing a typeface. As I went through the many steps, critiques, and proofs of my typeface, I've been able to look back at some of my earlier letterform drafts and better understand why some of the elements of my design worked better than others, and was happy with the design decisions that I ultimately made, even when I wasn't happy to let them go in the moment. To wrap things up, one of the non-type design things I learned this year is that it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It takes a village. And this is my village that helped make TypeWest a successful experience for me. I'm grateful for the time that I've been able to spend meeting new people, getting to know them better, and best of all, being able to call them friends.
Hello everybody, I'm Ana Peña from Bogotá, Colombia, and today I'm going to introduce you to Fermina. The concept behind my typeface is based on the physical description of Fermina Daza, one of the main characters of the Love in Times of Cholera's book. We can say that this is a typographic translation of these traits. I used the features like the long bone body, slim and straight, and the hair cut diagonally to build the structure of the type family. In this moment, Fermina have an important group of letters that support different language. The principal use to this typeface is on editorial environments, but also it works well in web design. The texture between their variations allows to Fermina be a very dynamic and easy to adapt type family. And here we have some examples of Fermina being used in different sizes and applications like books, posters, and brochures. Thank you so much to the TypeWest family for the support on this year. It was a very incredible experience. Also thank you to all the friends that are here in this important day to us. We made it!
Hello, I'm Bree Rice and I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Throughout 2022, I worked on my text typeface called Lady Somerset. I currently have the regular, bold, black, and italic styles of this variable typeface. Lady Somerset is a dainty, modern interpretation of some stone-carved type I found on a memory marker in Bath Abbey. The features capture the spirit of this historical, elegant text, while the juxtaposition of the smooth ball terminals and sharp symmetrical serifs are meant to make it more modern, playful, and fun. The recipe for this typeface is based on a transitional serif classification with expansion-style letters featuring symmetrical triangular serifs, ball terminals, Roman construction, low but visible contrast, and nearly vertical stress. Lady Somerset was originally designed to be used on travel brochures, with the intent that the entire brochure could be set in this font so that the pieces are beautiful, functional, and readable. The name Lady Somerset was sparked because Bath is in Somerset, England, but the name Somerset was already taken as a typeface. Coincidentally, I was listening to a lot of the Bridgerton soundtrack while I was designing this, and actually, Bridgerton was also filmed in Bath, so the name is a cheeky homage to the town where this typeface was inspired. Here are some original sketches and progression on the regular. I focused on making sure my curves were smooth and that I had cohesive and consistent shapes in the letter forms. These are all of the letter forms: regular, bold, black, italic, some variable fun, and some examples in use. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Taylor Ridgway, and I'm going to introduce you to the Realm collection. Realm is a set of 6 styles, including a glyphic in 4 weights, an italic, and a sans. It is designed to aesthetically match the Gene Wolfe's science fantasy series, The Book of the New Sun, which is set in a distant, post-technological, medieval future. The core glyphic weight pulls from broad-edged and carved letter forms to create a readable text typeface with a rough and spiky typographic texture. When I set out to design Realm, I wanted to experiment with how a family could transform along untraditional axes such as speed, emotion evoked, historic period, tool, or technique used. I also wanted to experiment with what differentiates members of a family, what makes them cohesive, and how far apart they could get. As a result, the core glyphic style draws more and more from black letter as it gets heavier, while the italic and sans take their cues from later experiments with pen rotation. While these experiments provided a great base to work upon, they required heavy modification to become similar enough in tone, yet distinct enough in appearance to work well as a family. The end result is a versatile yet surprisingly cohesive family of partially related fonts. Realm is a product of deep research, messy experimentation, and feedback and guidance from my instructors and peers. Thanks for listening, and thank you to my classmates, teachers, and everyone involved at Type West for making this year possible.
Hi everyone, my name is Gina Roy and this is my typeface Stampa. The current family consists of regular, bold, italic, and I'm working on a variable display now. The inspiration comes from the way the leaves form on the Monstera deliciosa plant. The recipe includes translation and a tilted axis, paired with sturdy serifs to give it an organic, quirky, and also trustworthy feel. Here are my initial sketches by hand from weeks 2 through 6 of term 2. I can finally understand what our professors mean about looking to display type, and then I definitely had no idea. Here's the digitization process, and it's really incredible how much improvement I made during terms 2 and 3. My eyes truly learned how to see the tiniest of details. Here are the current full character sets in regular, bold, italic, and bold italic. I imagine this typeface to be used for restaurant identities, botanical stores, and exhibitions, or even on perfume. Here you can see the full family together. The counters throughout the variable display will mimic the holes found on a Monstera leaf. I really want to thank Juan and all our professors throughout Type West, and to my colleagues around the world who I couldn't have done it without.
G'day, this is Platypi, my text typeface Type West project. Platypi is inspired by the iconic Australian animal the platypus in the way it blends unexpected features with conventional approaches. Platypi has a translation contrast model. It combines fluid and chiseled forms. It features tapered, diagonal, vertical, and horizontal strokes with slightly asymmetrical wedge serifs. As the weights get bolder, features like the tapered strokes become more dramatic. However, the ultimate aim of the typeface is to create a very usable, readable text typeface. Currently comes in weights from regular to black, along with a regular italic, and also features additional language support for a range of languages, including the often neglected Indigenous Australian languages.
Hello, my name is Leandro Sena, and this is Sprout 22, the type family I developed last year during Type West. For now, the family has 3 weights: thin, regular, and black. Sprout 22 is a translation typeface, with angle stress and moderate to high contrast. It features Roman-like proportions, and as you can see, some glyphs are wider than others. But serifs are the most prominent feature of this family. They are asymmetrical, with straight and round corners, long and sharp. I guess some letters just like to stay closer to the other ones. And sometimes they connect. That's a special power, to abstract and transform letter forms into shapes and textures, so you can take advantage of unexpected counter spaces. Sprout 22 is playful and wants you to have some fun. As any display typeface, it wants to be big, applying headlines, book covers, title design for videos, movies. Maybe you can use to create a cover for an album that never existed, or even put out your own music festival. It could also be a great head start for some logo ideas. It started with a sketchbook, which to me is the best way for developing new ideas, and it's also great for documentation. The first drawings explored letter forms inspired by brush twisting, but the super high contrast was affecting legibility more than I was willing to accept. So I simplified a little bit. You adjust and adapt as you discover new things, attend workshops, learn history and theory, get more fluent with softwares, and go through rounds and rounds of critiques with friends and instructors. Here's a masked gang.
Thank you for the great year.
Imagine a typeface like a boat, a typeface that could take you to unexpected adventures with confidence, comfort, and serenity. This is Explorama. Originally intended for nautical adventures and drawing on my experience with sailing, Explorama is a text type family designed to make serious or technical content more friendly to read and encourage readers to dive into complex subjects. Explorama is built on the idea to explore and share, to take you on a journey where you can comfortably discover and learn new things. Including weights from regular to black and italic, Explorama can apply in all places where knowledge is shared. Explorama will take you everywhere, from the bottom of the ocean to the moon. We all like to see nice results and beautiful shapes, but more than the result, what is important is the journey. While working on Explorama, I worked on my own, but never felt alone. Each one of you helped me grow this year, in one way or another, to open my eyes, to do my best, and to make Explorama look like this today. I can't be thankful enough for this growing experience we share together thanks to Typeface.
My name is Leo Vicente, and I joined this space as an enrolled member of the Hickory Apache Nation. The project I would like to share with you is entitled Go Ni, which translates to news in English. Go Ni is a Clarendon-style, humanist-leaning Roman typeface. Of slab serif heritage, it features Ionic-style bracketed serifs, ball terminals, and upturned tails. The vertical stress complements geometric systems while offering a unique strength and character. The large X height and short ascenders and descenders lend to its readability. Designed to replace a newspaper type family, it conceptually navigates perceptions of the American Old West. By offering Hickory Apache language support, I seek to provide thoughtful, respectful, and responsible textual representation for Indigenous cultural communities. I've included a bold stencil font in the family to emphasize Indigenous self-determination, sovereignty, and protest when necessary. As is, it is considered a work in progress with larger intentions of North American Indigenous language support, which includes creative directions for unified Canadian Aboriginal syllabics. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge every single person involved in supporting this work. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rosie, and this is Bonatera. This design was inspired by my grandma. After she passed, I ended up inheriting boxes of her recipes. Since then, I've wanted to compile all of these and turn them into a cookbook for my family. I saw this project as a great opportunity to make a text typeface that I can use throughout this cookbook. This is the result, the Bonatera family, including a regular, medium, bold, black, and italic. I began this project by sketching out my ideas. I took these sketches, digitized them, and throughout the weeks I made adjustments to areas like the X height, the serifs, and the contrast. These are the final results of my regular weight. I made a lot of progress and many changes from my original sketches. I found the black weight to be challenging, but I think this design really started to take form in week 3 when I significantly increased the contrast of each letter. For my italic, I tried different angles and serifs, and I believe I landed on a design that is more cohesive with the regular weight. This is my full character set of the regular, the black, and the italic. Some features of the typeface I want to highlight include the cupped and bracketed serifs with rounded sides, the round vertices, and the very round bowls with slight contrast. Here's an example of the typeface in use in varying point sizes, the typeface used in a recipe, and lastly, like I mentioned, I hope to use Bonatera in my family's cookbook. This is the mock-up of one of my grandma's recipes. Thanks for watching, and a big thank you to all my instructors, TAs, and classmates for such an incredible year.
Hello, I'm Amanda Ye, based in San Francisco. I'm introducing Cork, a slightly quirky display typeface featuring flared serifs, swooping curves, and humanist proportions. The typeface is variable. It has 5 weights and 3 widths. When making the typeface, I was looking at a lot of 70s psychedelic art and music posters, as well as Art Nouveau designs. The typeface also came about through various formal explorations. Here are some early versions of the typeface from the first few weeks of this project. Ultimately, I was drawn towards organic curves and expression, but I also wanted to create forms that were upright and had even proportions. This led me to draw, which turned into vectors. As soon as I drafted the black version, I tested out my ideas, first with a regular, and then with a condensed. I iterated a lot throughout the semester, such as unifying contrast, applying diacritics, creating numbers, and working through difficult shapes. Ultimately, I learned a lot at Type West, and this typeface was pretty fun to make, and I'm still working on it. And that's it. Thank you.
Hello there. I'm here to tell you about Deflection. It's a sweet new casual sans serif typeface, and it comes in regular, chunky, and a condensed we call bold squished. Deflection is named for a technology in the cathode ray tube. The story of Deflection started out with a whole lot of other ideas, but the real breakthrough came with a lightweight sketch that felt right on. Deflection was born. Here's a regular weight. It looks great set in all caps, classy even. Mixed case is a little more casual, a little fun. It's not silly, it's just light. Chunky is bold, but it's more than that. Make your important proclamations with a dash of the good times. Finally, bold squished fits in narrow spaces. It talks pretty quickly, but it never ever whispers. Use Deflection as a family for your record covers, your tiki barn menus, even those computer and electronics advertisements. Because it's there for you. Deflection, your favorite new semi-serious sans serif for your superb suppositions. Far out.
Wow. Everybody, mind blown is all I can say. Thank you, Skilla, for compiling that video for us. Gang, it's too much. I'd like to open the floor now for questions from everybody who's dropped in to watch this lovely graduation presentation, and also to the panelists, feel free to speak up and say any words of wisdom or kudos or anything that you like. So let's open the floor up for questions right now. If you're not a panelist, just drop your question in the Q&A, please. Anyone have anything to say? Rob?
Well, I had to go off video because I kept losing it. I'm so proud, and so what an amazing variety and individuality. Wonderful work, guys.
We have a question. First question is from Hrant, who says, kudos to Stephen French, Rena Lee, and Leo Vicenti for aiming to support scripts beyond Latin. Any other students interested in diversifying? Anybody? It's a big one. Don't be shy. Diversify.
I think it's always been an interest, but I'd want to find a way to do it respectfully, because those other languages, they aren't really a part of my culture or identity. So yeah, I guess that's probably the best answer I have, is just kind of figuring out how to navigate that. But I'm certainly interested. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful scripts out there beyond Latin that just look like they'd be so fun to try out.
I would just echo what Daniel said. I think that it's something I'm super interested in. It's hard to know exactly where to start, but I definitely think that that's like one of the most important things that type designers can do. So I definitely want to make that jump for sure.
Okay, that's excellent. Anybody else? Let's see. I see a question in the chat. So people, when you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A. It makes it easier for me to navigate them. I did see one question about when will the application window open for 2024 Type West, and that's going to be in October again. So keep your eyes open on our website for that. I saw another question from Chris Campy. Chris, you have, can you put that in the Q&A? Let me see. I'm going to check. We have, oh, Laura Tsunoda says, any advice or words of wisdom for the 2023 Type West classes? Speak up.
Type
I
Crit
need your
Crew.
help.
I would say take advantage of Type Crit Crew and get a lot of feedback, because that's what's really going to help you.
Excellent. Any other advice?
I'll echo Type Crit Crew. The one slide I left out in mine, but I think a lot of us felt that it was true. The saying was 95% of the work takes 5% of the time, and 5% of the work takes 95% of the time. And I think you'll learn, especially the future classes, that when it comes to type design, that is 100% true.
Okay.
I can add something real quick because I think it's really important. Thank you all for the love for the TypeCrit crew. Please use it. Make a call with me. Happy to chat with you and tell you more about what you can do to get the most out of your education. It's really important. You're all invested in it, so make the most out of it. So just a quick link about Sister Corita Kent. I think her 10 rules are really useful. So for students, try to pull whatever you can out of your instructors. Use them as much as you can. You have 1 year, time is limited, and you're all motivated. So do that as much as you can. And the same goes to the teachers. But I think it starts with the students' curiosity first to pull as much as they can. So that's it.
Excellent advice. Always great to refer to Sister Karita. She knew what was up. Okay, let's see. Next question we have Adriana Garcidueñas asks, what do you recommend to students at Type West, like in general? Well, we had a couple of recommendations. We can follow up with some more. Adri is in the online class this year. So any online students have any tips for Adriana?
I guess in general, just take a lot of rest during your breaks, because the terms are going to be very stressful for all of us. Yeah.
I would also chime in and say, try to document as you design so that you have stuff for your graduation video. And also, just because you're in the online class and far away from your classmates doesn't mean that they can't turn into some of your closest friends. I think everyone in our class is very close. We were always chatting in Slack and leaning on each other and sending each other our proofs and asking questions. So take advantage of your classmates too.
Also, I would say in addition to documenting work, I would say, now I'm completely blanking on what I was gonna say. No. It was related to that. Oh no, I'm not okay. If I think of it again, hopefully someone else will go and give me time, but I would like to remember it.
All right, someone else. Pick it up for Stephen while he thinks. Help us out here. Help a student out.
I can help you, Stephen. Yeah, I think just to sort of echo Bree's advice, and just share with your classmates like your frustrations and your struggles, because I found that everyone had the same sort of issues. And once someone mentioned it, you're like, oh wow, I'm not alone. Like other people are sort of feeling the same way. So I think that was really powerful.
Definitely. And what I was going to say was just to, as you go, download recordings and stuff and save that so that when you get to the end, you have all of those resources that are so valuable. So
that is all great advice. And I'm going to just drop in here that as y'all know, our Slack is a free one, and so it's temporary. So you should save important information on that as well as you're going along. Okay, any other questions? Drop those questions in the Q&A. Otherwise, if anybody wants to say anything, any of our panelists, feel free to speak up. Offer praise.
I'll just quickly say that I'm so proud of you all. Just amazing work. And yeah, I'm so proud. Everything looks really good. All the stories you told about the process and your designs and how you fit into these projects, that really resonates with me. And I'm just so excited about what you all created. And I just wanted to say too that online group, it was very cool to see all of your work, which I hadn't had a chance to really check out yet. So yeah, just big congrats, and very excited for you all.
All right, I see a couple more questions popping up in here. Thanks, Stephen Coles, for being inquisitive. Stoof asks, what is the next part of your education journey? What do you want to learn now? Hoping you're not done.
Someone said during, I forget who it was, but they said the more that you learn about type design, the less that you know. So I would just like to continue my type design education and keep learning as I go.
Oh yeah, that was a Karen Chang quote. Yeah, it's for me. It's a little bit actually probably a break from learning for a little bit and just kind of giving back. I know, especially the online cohort, and I'm sure the in-person one feels the same. But we had so many amazing people, not just the people that are here, on this presentation, but all of our guest, lecturers or people that helped us out through Type Crit Crews or what have you. And it was really amazing to see the type community kind of give to us as students and as our classes. And I really want to be able to kind of return that favor somehow, maybe to future classes, future students, through teaching opportunities, maybe getting into speaking or stuff like that too. So I know it's not exactly the learning side of it, but maybe the teaching side.
Yeah, I would also say that I think kind of a break is in order just in terms of like structured learning, but I think just continuing to explore my own and like I mentioned before into like non-Latin scripts and just sort of trying to like bolster my abilities and just but I would say that just some self-initiated stuff for a while.
Just to add to Daniel's answer, it's pretty similar. I think part of the education process is also passing it on to other people, especially to communities that aren't really reached much by type design education. So I think that's very important, and we can do it in a lot of different ways. So we'll see. We'll see how we can do that, but that's the next step for me. Mm-hmm.
That's great. I really like your comment, Joe, about reaching communities that are underserved, and let's hope we can do more of that. Anyone else? What you gonna do next? Oh, I see. Rena has dropped in the Q&A that she is excited to make new typefaces with what she knows now. Maybe start a foundry. Who knows, right? Okay, what is Stephen Coles, who keeps the questions coming, asks, how will you use the skills you learned in your daily work? So even if you don't go on to start a foundry, maybe this is something that you're going to use on a daily basis. Any comments on that?
Mm-hmm. Before I took this program, I kind of just chose fonts based on what I thought looked nice. And now I kind of try to choose fonts that are either like more, like I try to choose fonts that make sense with what I'm designing. So if I'm designing something specific, I'll try to choose like a font that's designed by someone from that country, or like something from that time period to make it more historically or like just more accurate and like cohesive with the piece instead of just aesthetically pleasing, if that makes sense.
Totally. Taylor comments here, you can't unsee typographic details once you know them. Using the knowledge isn't really a choice. I like that, Taylor. Okay. Anyone else? How are you going to use it? Monograms for your towels? Come on. Okay. Let's see. We got, oh boy, we got more questions coming. So let's, Stephen Coles, you've had a lot of questions so far. I'm going to move on to Beto, who says, what are your favorite resources, your bibliography, or your tools from the program? That's a great question, Beto. What resources are you guys, are you all going to now? What comes to mind, first of all? Where do you look when you're looking for resources, bibliography, type tools? What's your go-to?
I guess for references, the Letterform Archive is the first thing we go to. And then I think Prior recommended the People's Graphic Design Archive as well. And I think there are also many other archives all over the world, and we just need to look for it.
Right. Thank you, Oscar, for the LetArc shout out.
Yeah, I would say that one of my important references for this year and last year was my history classes that I received with Rob, with Ewan, and also classes with Silas and Briar. Was pretty important. I was always screenshot in everything. So I just go back to that time period and grab something that inspired me at that moment.
That's actually a great tip, Ivan, is to, you know, take screenshots of things that really impress you that you want to refer back to later on. Any other tips on that? Any other resources that we haven't mentioned?
I put a link into the chat for a blog that I have been going back to since like I first started getting interested in type. And so yeah, it's not super well known, but it's just like a lot of great information for anybody that wants to look into it. So
awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. So Stephen Coles asks, when you look at well-made typefaces now, what aspects do you appreciate now that you didn't fully appreciate before the course?
I think for me, one is the spacing, like how well spaced a typeface is for me. I think it makes like a 50% or more of the overall typeface, how it's perceived, how good the spacing is. So yeah, that's one thing.
On my side, I could say that this year I learned to discover and really appreciate text typefaces because we worked on text typefaces for our rivals and for our original type designs. And yes, it was the best discovery of that year to learn how to like them. And now I can say I really enjoy them.
All right, let's see. We have a couple more questions here before we wrap up. David Jones asks for tutors. Oh, this is a question for, okay, what did you learn from the students? For students, what did you learn from each other? So the instructors could answer this question as well. What did we learn from you all? And what did you students learn from us that really stuck? Hopefully something stuck.
I guess I could say something. I learned a lot of things from each one of students in the program, but I think the biggest lesson is that time is precious. 1 year is that super short time, you know, and I wish I had more time with each one of them. But however, I think what the program does is it gives you enough time to get to know them so that we can continue the conversation around type after the program is over. So I'm really excited and honored to call them all, you know, like friends now in the sense of like, you know, the call ends, but we're still talking to each other. So it's like, that is the biggest lesson I could ever have, getting to know people from all over the world and still continue to know them after the fact. So yeah.
That's great. Tati writes, everyone has a different perspective to approach things. It was nice to share my process with my classmates and tackle some problems from their perspective. Thanks, Tati. So true. And John David Massa writes, cry and cry until you succeed. Tears of joy, I assume.
I was going to say that one of the things I learned from the in-person class is that the in-person class you guys always were really funny to me, like about your projects. You brought a real sense of humor to some of the work that you were doing. And I think sometimes in type design, it's easy to kind of get into the weeds of like, little details and spacing and all of the refinement you have to make a typeface work. And I just loved how week after week, you kind of kept me connected to some of the like really joyful, humorous things about creating letters. And I think that was really special for our time together.
All right, Ben writes, from my classmates, I saw that excellence doesn't rest. Everyone quite casually poured inordinate amounts of time and energy into the work, and it shows. Totally true. And I agree with you, Graham. You gotta, it's easy to get lost in the weeds. And this class was hilarious, but with a purpose. Any other comments? Oh, we got Estefania writes, the dedication everyone had, and especially those who had to take classes at 4 a.m. and killed it. Yes. Some of you all with those far-flung time zones, I have no idea how you did it. Really. Guess you were inspired. Okay, got a couple more questions here. Let's see if we can knock them off before. Oh, here's a good one. Ooh. RoboFont or glyphs? Or if both, which for what part of the process? Okay, I see people are commenting in the chat.
I think for me, I like glyphs because of the plugin availability. I mean, it's like, I think everything has a plugin for glyphs nowadays. I had used RoboFont in the past, and I kind of liked that it was a little bit more of a build what you need kind of platform, at least at the time that I used it. I mean, I'm probably a little bit more towards glyphs right now, but there's things from RoboFont that I missed, so I might still be kind of on the fence.
Any other fence sitters out there want to weigh in? Are you leaning one way or another? I see Benzato writes glyphs for all parts of the process. Then we have Rena, who wrote in the chat, Rainer single-handedly converted her to glyphs. Oh, Rainer. Huh. Any other Robo fans out there want to speak up? Graham?
I mean, I think we make a little too much of a, I don't know that these things are that different. I think, you know, it's mostly about learning to see in a way that works for you and works for making type, and whatever software feels right to you and works on this, what you have to work with, like that's the way to go.
Excellent. Taylor says a similar thing, whatever you are comfortable with. Taylor prefers RoboFont for its simplicity and extensibility, but it being more bare bones makes it more difficult to learn as well. Okay, all right, let's let that fiery debate rest for a moment. Tackle another question. Let's see. Tere asks, do you think using AI would be useful to explore variations in typographic details on type design? Rena already answered for her. Oh my God, yes, I actually worked on a project and the client sent me references of AI generated type in the mood board. It created very interesting shapes and a great conceptual jump off point. Anyone else? Comment on the looming specter that is AI encroaching upon type design? Yes or no?
We used Dolly in one of our classes with Zrinka, one of our workshops, and it was actually really fun to put in different prompts and then sketch letters from whatever was displayed to think about how we would make a display typeface from our letters, or just like a different display typeface. So not like having the program make the letters for us, but letting them influence and kind of use it as a mood board. So that was really interesting and fun.
Excellent.
Okay.
No, speak up.
I was gonna say, we also talked about it in one of our other workshops as well, just kind of what the future of AI looks like for type design. I think at this point it's probably as good a guess as anybody has, but I'm still of the mindset that it's eventually one day going to be just another tool in our arsenal. Maybe this is similar to, like how things like Photoshop or Illustrator came along at the time, back when people were still doing punch cutting and whatnot, and maybe that looked kind of scary to them. So I'm optimistic that there will still be kind of that human touch or that designer in control of the process, but it's more of like a tool that aids us, maybe with kerning or spacing, because I still don't like that.
Any other comments on this? Those are great. Okay, let's see. Pedro asks, hi guys, how are you? Congratulations to all. One question, during the course at Type West, do you discuss font licensing as well? How to publish and monetize correctly? So we have a couple answers, one from Camille saying, Stephen Coles also hosted a workshop about font licensing separate from Type West. Maybe he'll teach it again. And Rena says, yes, there was a really great marketing workshop in the third term with the folks at Future Fonts. Our in-person instructors, Graham and Maria, also made time to share their experience in making work for clients. Okay, and I will say that also you're going to have a follow-up workshop, everyone with the Future Fonts people on marketing. Anyone have any other comments on that? From the online class? Okay. I noticed some people are already jumping in that water. Right? Very excited about that. Okay. Let's see. Tassos says, okay. Any thoughts? We already talked about the design application. We're not going to touch that again, but Tassos asks, are there any thoughts about variable font technology? I noticed some of you guys did variable fonts. Anyone want to comment on your experience with that?
That I didn't, but I know there's so much like incredible variation that can happen within that. So just like only learn the very basics of the weight axis, but I definitely, I just know there's so much more to like explore with that. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Anyone
Yeah,
else?
we had a workshop with Rodrigo Sayani, and it was amazing to see all the possibilities, not just for funds, but in branding and all other places where you can apply that technology. And it was really fun. I really want to explore more of that.
Awesome. Okay. Wesley, we've got a couple more minutes. Let's see if we can answer these last couple questions, and then we can give everyone a big round of applause and sign off. Wesley says, any special shout outs or stories from the program of students being inspiration or moral support for each other? Any particular moments when people came to your aid, when you were having a low moment or a high moment?
this is just like a tiny story, and hopefully I don't embarrass him too much by saying this, but I think the entire online course or the entire online cohort really got a kick out of the small little sketches that Juan included in our while he was critiquing our stuff. There's a lot of little characters and whatnot that kind of made their way into some of our notes, and it was a small gesture, but when you're poring over notes at whatever time at night and you're kind of just tired of everything, seeing that little smiley face or something like that off to the side was just kind of a nice little thing that kept a lot of us going, I think.
Definitely made it more fun, huh? Made it more human.
For me, I think that for us, the in-person and online cohort, even we never met, but every time when we like support each other in the social media, it's kind of like make you feel like you are part of the type community already. And I feel like this is one thing that pushed us forward to like keep doing what we love to do together. And I feel like that's a really great support that we can have. So
That's right. Keep boosting each other on social media too. Doesn't end now.
We may want to think of ways to bring the online and local cohorts together sooner. I think that connection is important, and I just want to say that it's just so wonderful to see the same standard and the same kind of the general structure of the pedagogy. Obviously, online is very different, and there are, I think, actually advantages of both, but to see the end results all together, it's a remarkably sort of unified level of work and result.
Absolutely. And we also have Rena says that she would like to personally shout out to Camille, and Tatiana says she wants to shout out to Karine, who's been a big support for everyone. So, yay. Okay, let's hit this last question and then we sign off. Beto says, for people who are in right now online program, oh, this is cute. When would be a good time to go to the Letterform Archive in person to do a workshop or something like that? All right, planning, Beto, I like it.
Sooner than later is the answer.
Well, yes, right now. Absolutely, you're all welcome anytime. We would love to host you all for a visit. All the online people, I know it's not always easy to make it to San Francisco, but we open our doors to you. All right, everybody. Any last words before we sign off? Yay. Thank you, everyone. It's been a fantastic year. We love you all.